big game out in New Orleans. Super Bowl 59 live from Media Row. And I got a special guest for you right here because I grew up on Buddy Ball, and it's Mike Golic Sr.
I love the picture behind me. It's back like when I looked like an athlete. Even though I wasn't that great of an athlete, but I kind of look like an athlete, much different than now with the graying beard.
Yeah. I mean, you institutionalized for me as a kid. But let's go over everything and how it went down. You grew up in Ohio. How did you get to Notre Dame?
Well, it's a 4.5-hour drive. My brother Bob, who's 6 years older than me, he went there in 1975, so I kind of was brought up on it a little bit. When he went there, I was 12, and I got hooked on it. We'd go watch his games. So I was hooked on it. That was kind of where I wanted to go once the recruiting cycle started for me, and then we basically brainwashed all our kids to go there as well. Play football,
smart move
swim.
at that point. Great institution at that point. So you get drafted into the NFL. You wind up with the Houston Oilers. How was that? I was a 10th round pick, so it was a struggle to make the team. And for you young listeners out there, it used to be the Tennessee Titans. Is the Houston Oilers. Make that connection there. I was there for 2.5, 3 years. Who was the coach there?
It was Jerry Glanville. It was his first head coaching.
Wow.
And what he was known for is on away games, he would leave 2 tickets for Elvis.
Did he ever show up, though?
Elvis did
Were there impersonators showing up?
Elvis did not show up in the house. But listen, I enjoyed it. I was a linebacker in college, and then all of a sudden went to the defensive line. I devolved from an athlete to a non-athlete, going down and putting my hand in the dirt.
Now you find your way to Philadelphia, late 1980s. This is when football finally turned in Philadelphia. 1980, go to the Super Bowl, some down years, Marion Campbell. You come in under Buddy Ryan. How did you find your way to Philadelphia, and how did you think that fit was right away?
Well, I got cut by the Houston Oilers after the strike. I was kind of real pro-union, and they cut me after the strike ended. And I went and visited a couple of teams, but it was a Tuesday I got cut. Thursday I visited Philadelphia and fell in love with Buddy and his. Obviously, I knew about Buddy Ryan's defense. From the Bears. And Buddy seemed to like me, and they offered me a job on the spot. I got cut Tuesday, went there on Thursday, and actually played in the game against the St. Louis Rams that Sunday.
By the way, talking about that 1987 strike season, which was interesting because Buddy always struck a nerve in Philadelphia, being very pro-union and didn't want any of his players crossing that picket line at that point. And I always understood that once they came back pro-union, everybody was fine, but Buddy was very upset with the way some of the other teams handled that strike here.
Oh, listen, I was upset. I was a 10th round pick, not making it comparatively to other players a lot of money. I was walking the picket line, then all of a sudden the high-paid quarterbacks and wide receivers and defensive players, the high-paid ones were crossing the line. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You're screwing us. It obviously did not end well, reliving the past there. But Buddy, gave out like fake rings and such. He really, really disapproved.
Always like to stick at the Norman Brayman. I remember, I think Keith Jackson got a limo sent to the airport when he finally got paid. But I do want to talk to you about this. You played in one of the most iconic football games in Philadelphia history. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Fog Bowl.
Fog Bowl.
How was that?
That was a playoff game, the Fog Bowl in Chicago. It was wild because the fog rolled in and we weren't sure what it was. We were like, is there a fire? Is there smoke? But it didn't have that smoke fire smell. It had no smell at all. Then all of a sudden we were engulfed in fog. And the wild part about it, the ref was stand in the middle of the field, and he would have his microphone to the officials in the booth, and he would say, "Oh, I can still see both goalposts." And we're looking at him going, what the hell are you looking at? You can't see 20 yards away. But there's no way they were going to postpone that game once they started. There's no way they were going to send everybody home. So basically, whoever was leading when the fog rolled in was going to win. And unfortunately for us, the Bears were leading when the fog rolled in. But that was a wild game.
I mean, so many good games there. This is the heartbreak watching the playoffs. You lose to the Chicago Bears. And I think it was the next year. I want to say it was the Rams at home at Veterans Stadium. And then
lost.
They were tough all the way through, but certainly iconic. Just give me a quick anecdote, because you played with Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Mike Pitts, Clyde Simmons, endless superstars on that line. How did you fit in with them? Like, how did you earn the respect and the trust of them?
Just by being kind of the lunch pail guy. They were the great players, the great athletes. I was kind of the lunch pail guy that knew all the defense, that knew all the calls, kind of kept everybody lined up where they should, and then watched them do exceptional things on the field. It was, and the thing about it is, this was before free agency.
Correct.
So they were all better friends to me than teammates because there was no movement then. So, I mean, listen, losing Mike Pitts and Jerome Brown and Reggie White and Wes Hopkins and Andre Waters was just devastating.
It really was. It was such a golden area there for the Philadelphia Eagles that we thought we could have got one Super Bowl. Randall gets injured in 91, and we have that. But talking about big things, Mike, in your career, maybe none bigger right now than we're talking about here with Stelo. Tell us a little bit about this product and how it can help people.
Well, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in my early 40s like my father was, and you need ways to monitor your glucose.
Yes.
And with Stelo, it's the first FDA-approved glucose biosensor that you can buy over the counter. You do not need a prescription for it.
Yeah.
And it hooks up to an app on your phone, and it gives you what your glucose numbers are after a meal, after a workout, your sleep. It's continuous. So instead of pricking your finger 100 times a day to continuously find out what your blood sugar is, you just have this app, and it can give you great readings of, okay, I shouldn't eat this, or I shouldn't work out at this time, or I need more sleep. It's kind of like a health advisor with an app, and it's a sensor, fits right on the back of your arm. You don't even have to see it if you don't want. Simple to use, great to use. So Stelo.com is where you can go check it out, get all the info.
Fantastic. Now, we are at the big game. It's the Eagles and the Chiefs. I got to ask you, who we pulling for? Who are we looking to win this game?
I picked Buffalo over Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and I was wrong. I'm picking Philly. Philly has the better roster.
Yeah.
But Kansas City just knows how to win, especially one-score games. But I think Saquon, like he's been the difference all year, Kansas City has to prove to me they can stop him.
Absolutely.
They can stop him, stop that O-line, and not have Jalen have to throw it 40 times a game.
None better in the clutch than Patrick Mahomes in those one-score games, Mike. We talk about it all the time at this point. He's been absolutely phenomenal. But it was phenomenal talking to you today.
Enjoyed it.
Much needed success out there in the future. Hopefully the Eagles can win, but I just want to thank you for playing buddy ball and making us all
I enjoyed the time. Maybe not the vet field so much, but I enjoyed playing for the Eagles.
Absolutely. That'll do it here from Radio Row. Thanks, guys.